Welcome to Life in the Hill Country, the Road Trip Edition. Today we're taking you to Mason, Texas. We're going to give you a tour of the Mason Courthouse. It's coming up right after a word from our sponsors. More top signs you may need Tim Coward, attorney at law. If you've ever been pulled over and said, "What's the problem, officer?" you may need Tim Coward. If you've ever been identified as the one in a lineup, you may need Tim Coward. If you've ever tried playing chicken with a police officer, you definitely need Tim Coward. Tim Coward, attorney at law with offices in Marble Falls and Llano. Call 325-247-5486 for your appointment. Licensed to practice law in all of Texas, not certified by the Board of Texas Legal Specialization.
Hank, tell us where we are right now.
I have no idea.
We are standing out in the middle of the street
With an 18-wheeler going by.
of Mason.
There is the visitor center. I love the front of these buildings. And this is, if you come down here, then you can always take a walking tour. And we will be doing that, except that Jay wanted me to memorize all of the buildings, and I haven't quite had the time to do that just yet.
Here we are at Willow Creek Cafe. There's most of my eating breakfast. There's Hank's. What is that, Hank?
That's Huevos Rancheros.
What is that?
That's my phone.
I love this place. I promise not to get Hank on video, so because he doesn't have his hat on. And here we are in Mason at the Mason Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center. You remember we were talking about the jackass race?
Now that is the actual photograph taken during the war of that cannon.
As a matter of fact, Hank was, he manned that cannon.
I manned that cannon.
What were you, about 20 years old whenever you manned that cannon?
No, 17.
Okay. And on our podcast, you are going to hear from this lovely lady right here.
And her still photo. I have her still photo.
Oh, you have her still photo?
Still photo. It'll be up on the website also. My still photo won't be.
Good.
I know. We're blessed by that.
Because I tried to take a still photo of him one time and it broke the camera.
It did.
Oh.
So,
but
Missy, would you hold up the donkey costume for us?
Yeah. Can you make Hank
No,
put it
she
on?
cannot
Because
make Hank put
I
it
wanted to
on.
show...
I want Missy to...
That's pretty funny.
No, I will not put it on.
Oh, please.
Make the biggest jackass over here put that on. Missy, thank you so much for helping us out, and we will be back very soon.
Good. Thank you guys for coming.
What you're hearing right now is the bells at noon.
For whom the bells toll. Okay, we are standing in front of actually off to the side of the Mason County Courthouse. It's a historic courthouse. And as most courthouses here in the state of Texas, especially these smaller cities, we're very proud of our veterans. They have a memorial set up here dedicated. They go all the way back to the Texas War of Independence, Indian Wars, Mexican-American War, Spanish-American War. They've got World War II, Vietnam, Korea, essentially everybody who ever fought and died for our country, or just veterans from this area. They're in honor here, in memory here, and it's something we take great pride in this. We are standing near the monuments. Now you notice on the back, this is the back side, we have the Civil War, Confederate and Federal. It's important for people to remember that here in Texas, especially this part of Texas, the Civil War was a very divisive action because in Fredericksburg you had a very loyalist population versus the Confederates, those who wanted to secede. And so you see that this would often split brother against brother. Families were split. And in Mason County especially, and as Jay talked about in one of our sessions on Mason County, you can see the list of the people and the deaths and the destruction that occurred. As we go further over here, we also have more names of veterans who have given their all for, and you notice it's an incredible list of people who have died in war and who just served our country. So we're very proud of our heritage here in Central Texas, especially here in the Hill Country. Coming into the courthouse, and we were commenting how beautiful this yard, I guess I was going to say yard, but the grounds are here. But there is a statue dedicated to the cattlemen and the drovers who helped settle this area, because this is a big cattle country. And a lot of ranches got started rounding up what we would call mavericks, which were animals that nobody really had a brand on after the Civil War, and people started branding them and they built their ranches off of that. Now this is actually the third county courthouse, and it was designed by Dallas architect E.C. Hosford and was built in 1909-1910. So we had some before. We're going to get more history as we go inside. I love the structure and the architecture. Now we've got trees covering everything, so you can't really see the spire, which I'm sure that Jay's going to show. But as you look at these grounds, they're incredibly well kept. I know that building was built in the 40s, and so is the building back there to our left. Is that clock working?
That clock is working.
Because the bell just rang, but I don't see the little doohickey hand moving.
It doesn't have a second hand.
It doesn't have a second hand?
No.
Well, what is that little spear thing? Oh, that's the other half of the minute hand. Okay, never mind. We're inside the courthouse building, and we are just kind of wandering around looking for, I think the courtroom is upstairs.
Seems to be nobody here right now.
Well, it's because it's lunchtime. You were the one who pointed out for whom the bells tolled was 12 o'clock. And this is Texas, so you are going to have people go to lunch.
And talk about a beautiful hallway.
Nice. I like this. Now this is the courtroom here in Mason, inside the courthouse. This has the look and feel of the historic Texas courthouses, much like where we were in Lampasas last week, where they tried Jesse James in that courtroom. Here, they actually had a trial for John Wesley Hardin. Now, John Wesley Hardin was a famous outlaw who was killed over in Round Rock, and the Texas Rangers used to pursue him. And one of the areas that he hung out in was Mason County. And he was tried for cattle rustling over here in Mason County.
And you're making that up, too?
No, I'm not. This is serious. I wouldn't make this up. John Wesley Hardin was from around this area. He had friends over here. In fact, he was involved in some of the feuds. And he was tried right here in this courthouse. Now, of course, it wasn't this exact courtroom simply because this wasn't built till 1909, and John Wesley died in 1880. But it was a courtroom very similar to this without the Dell computers.
I like how it's got the balcony up there.
I do too. Well, that's where his gang actually stood.
Okay, now you can stop.
Okay. But remember Mr. Johnson who threw the trial over in Lampasas? By the time John Wesley was being tried, he had moved down here to Mason County, and he again was the foreman.
Are you done now?
Okay, I'm done. Now we have the answer to our questions as to when the first two were built. The first one was built in 1872. It burned in 77 and replaced in 77. Oh, this is the third one that replaced the second one. The third one was built in 1909. Okay. But you notice how many courthouses burned down in Texas in about the 1800s? I wonder what they were trying to hide.
Well, as you remember here, what they were talking about was the
Mason County War.
Well, yeah, and you had
a lot of cattle thieves.
From what I understood, they burned this down to help protect one of their...
Oh, that's right. That was actually during the Mason County War when they were killing each other. John Wesley Hardin's group was involved. No, they may not have been involved in that one, but you're right. They tried to burn it down in order to get some of their members free. And Jay, you talked about that on one of our previous episodes of Life in the Hill Country.
Right.
So we have all sorts of great information for people in addition to stuff I make up. We have actual facts from the people.